sending a letter of interest before the ERAS interviews is like a good strategy or not?
Then a lot of program directors receive like more than like 500 to 600 emails, a generic letter of interest LOI, hold a lot of value because
For IMGs, what do you think is like?
yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdeen, for joining us today. So we are just waiting for a couple more minutes for Dr. Muhammad Al Hassan, the Associate Program Director of Internal Medicine Residency Program at St. Agnes Medical Center, California, to join us. He will be here at any moment. So till then, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Kiani, an IMG, and I work as the Managing Director at IMG Helping Hands. With us, we have Dr. Zain Abdeen. He is the founder and the CEO of IMG Helping Hands. And as you all know, and for those who might not know, IMG Helping Hands is basically a US-based organization, and we are working very hard to, make the way easier for IMGs all across the world to transition from their home country to the US healthcare system. And for this webinar, we are on the mission again to engage you directly with the program director of a residency program. So you may all ask any questions that you may have at the top of your heads. So till the time you're waiting for Dr. Muhammad to join us, you're more than welcome to type in your messages or questions that you all have, and we will ask those from Dr. Muhammad on behalf of you all. While we did create a poll as well 24 hours ago, and we have 6 or 7 most asked questions as well that Dr. Muhammad, the program director, asked us to provide him so he can, touch upon them and discuss them in detail. But again, you can, type in your messages or your questions and send us in the comments in this webinar. We truly apologize for the wait. We are just hoping for Dr. Mohammed to join us very soon. He might be busy in his commitment. So till then, let's just start with our webinar. We have Dr. Abedin with us, who is the founder of IMG Helping Hands. And you're more than welcome to ask any questions that you have regarding the match application, the ERAS, or any like the interview process, how to prepare the letter of intent. I have been receiving all your questions in the comment section in the webinar, and I might, just start by reading out those. So, Dr. Abdeen, you can answer those for the applicants, right?
Yes, let's do it. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, um, okay, so I have a question, Dr. Abdeen. An applicant says that is sending a letter of interest before the ERAS interviews is like a good strategy or not?
So letter of interest. So normally what you do is you plan to send letters like very early in the journey. For example, if you're applying for this match season, a lot of people have been networking with the program uh, directors and the residency programs since January. So, but I think if you have to send a letter of interest, the best way would be to do not send the generic LOR, sorry, generic letter of interest LOI. The reason behind that is because this world is the US is not that like big of a or a lot of, there are a lot of residency programs, but a lot of people know each other. And if you are sending the same generic LOI, that means is the same program is getting the same LOI from a couple of other residency applicants as well. But that doesn't hold a lot of value because they know that this is just like a copy paste generic letter of interest. They are not really interested in our program. If you really want to have an impact, I would recommend to deep dive in their residency program, their website, and might be the person who are you are trying to reach out. Might be you like their way of teaching, might be you like their any specific attributes, or might be anything that's something important about a person. So you can really connect, or might be sometimes like our residency program is fond of some sort of unique attribute. So if you try to mention that in the letter of interest, that's something will bring value and you can get like a response because during the match season, a lot of program directors receive like more than like 500 to 600 emails every single day. It's not practically possible to reply all of the email, but that doesn't mean that no email is gonna get any reply. The valuable email will definitely be receiving, you guys will be receiving a reply. Another trick I would recommend is try to schedule the email around 8 to 9 a.m. because this is the start of the day and the people are more productive at this time rather than sending like around afternoon when people are busy seeing the patients, or might be in the evening if you they might be just too tired to open an email. So try to send the email like around in the morning. So because at that point the people are more productive, more chance is that your email is going to receive a reply.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdin, for your valuable answer. So another question that is being asked a lot is like, for IMGs, what do you think is like mentioning a geographical preference a wise idea, or we should be, not choosing any geographical preference?
As an IMG, what I would say is, there is no such single answer for this question. If let's suppose there is an IMG who has a phenomenal score, like above 260s, they have USLORs, and they are applying and they have some certain limitations that they cannot go out of state or might be just in a couple of states nearby. You guys can do you can add the like geographic preference, and most likely you will be able to get into those until or unless they are very very competitive programs. But if you are a person who does not have a lot of great stuff in your CV, might be you're an old grad, might be you have some red flag, might be your score is low, and in that scenario, if you are just adding one or two geographic region in your area, this means that a lot of other geographic area will not offer you a lot of not offer you the interviews. The reason behind that is because residency programs also choose people so they can easily transition into the residency program, because residency itself is not easy, and they want just the easy transition. Sometimes they're also looking for a resident on a very short notice, so they try to find a person who are initially there who have ties with the states. So what I would do is you can explain in your CB that although you are an IMG, the reason you don't have the preference is because your first preference is to match. Because as an IMG, you understand it's not very easy to match in the USA. There are there are limited number of positions. We have a lot of competition with other people. So our primary goal is to match, even if I match in Puerto Rico or might be any other state. So you can explain like this that my primary goal is to work as a physician and become a resident, and geographic area is my second preference. So I think I hope this answers this question.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdi. Okay, so um, there's another question by an applicant. So, what is the possibility of being called for an interview after being invited to a virtual open house? And like, what are the odds if a person misses out a virtual open house or like a meet and greet session with the program? So, what are the odds that the person or the particular applicant is gonna be ranked high on when the rank order list opens?
Sorry, Mariam, can you come again?
Oh, yeah, sure. So the question is that what are the odds or what is the possibility of being called for an interview once you have been invited for a virtual open house by a program? And similarly, what are the odds for an applicant if you're invited for a meet and greet session after the interview? And if you attend that or if you miss out on that, what are the odds that you're going to be, ranked higher when the rank order list opens up?
Okay, I think a great question.
Mhm.
A lot of people want the answer to this question, because the
Okay.
answer, if I have to specifically say the number, I would say a couple 100%. You increase your chance of getting the interview couple 100% if you are joining their virtual house. Like my own experience is very very great when I used to join the virtual houses. The reason behind that is I can give you stat like on average every residency program receive like around 4 to 5,000 applications every year. Now, if I compare how many people attend the virtual house of any residency program, and the answer would be like around maximum 200 or even less than that, sometimes 100 to 200. Okay. Now, if they are finding like around 18 to 20 residents a year, they would definitely consider those 200 people. At least if they would review their application, their application wouldn't be filtered out because of the lack of any specific criteria. they would definitely their applications would be considered for for the interview. So I wait. Let's suppose like in my journey, like I received a couple of interviews just because I attended their virtual houses. So I think
Oh,
it helps a lot, and it also helps you to portray that that you are genuinely interested in this residency program, because they also know that there are a couple hundreds of or thousands of residency program, but a person cannot attend a virtual house for everyone. If you are attending a virtual house of any specific residency program, this means that you still have some sort of interest in that program. It's a wonderful way to get extra number of interviews. And now once the you receive the interview, now the next game is they are gonna rank, they're gonna see your pattern. Okay, how much are you interested? How much, like, what are the credentials you have? There's some residency programs also have a score criteria. Okay, this person that he has top, like 220s, 230s. Let's give him two score, and then on this person great communication, great in interview skills. So they do have the criteria, and they rank the people accordingly. And did you some programs also consider like the person who is very proactive in reaching out to them, showing interest, and have genuine ties with the program and genuinely want to come there in that specific program? So I would say definitely it's going to help a lot.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Definitely. And for all those participants who just joined us, so if you're just waiting for Dr. Mohammed, he is busy in another commitment, so he'll be joining us shortly. Until then, we are just, having a question answer session, a rapid question answer session with Dr. Abedin, who is the founder of IMG Helping Hands. So coming to our next question, it is regarding the interviews. What should be the best possible strategy for acing the interviews? Like there are applicants who receive 10 interviews and yet they do not match, and there are applicants who receive one or max twice interviews and they do match. So what do you think, Dr. Abedin, is the formula that is uh, getting along?
What I would say is like I do have a one of my colleague who received like 20 interviews in my season
Oh,
when I
okay.
applied, and he did not match. So even if you are very good at book, if you are not very good at your communication, nobody's gonna accept you. So you have to do the drill. Interview preparation is not just learning how to speak English. It's a lot more than that. Interview skills. You have to, come up as an amalgam of the personality. You have to communicate very well with the people. And sometimes giving just a generic answer is not gonna stand you, like make you one of the best candidate in the eyes of program directors. But what I would think is to avoid showing any red flag. A great interview can help you match, but like a single mistake, if even if you're a great candidate, a single red flag in the communication can knock you out. And the way to stand out is like, let's suppose if a program director is asking that, tell me about your strengths. Now, a lot of people would have learned that, okay, if the program director is going to ask this, I'm going to say I'm very adaptable, I'm very enthusiastic, I'm honest, all the stuff. Now, the qualities itself doesn't matter until or unless you can prove with your specific example. For example, sometimes, if you want to just stand out, what you can, come up with your own specific answers, like strengths. Like for example, I used to say that I think I'm one of the best bad gap filler. And now another person is also curious, like what does this person mean about gap filler? Like he's saying, a lot of people say that I'm enthusiastic, I'm honest, I'm adaptable, I'm a multitasker. But I used to say that I'm a gap filler. But the gap filler, what I mean is, when I used to explain them, by the gap filler I mean is like during residency, when I will be during residency or even before that, when I'm working in any project or at any place. So there are lots of gaps rather than me coming as a complaining about those gaps. Okay, that person did not do this job. I'm the person who always try to fill the gaps. So as an amalgam, our team is seen as a best one rather than just explain, like just pointing out fingers to another person. And a lot of residency faculty members used to like this because during residency, this is going to happen a lot in your residency, because you're going to see a lot. Okay, that person was missed that order, or might be there was something that easily could have been done but wasn't done. So what I think is, just come up with your unique attributes. Even if you don't have unique attributes, you can say the simple things, but then say the unique examples. Just try to recall what examples you can explain to through the program director, but don't say a single liner that I'm adaptable, I'm honest, or I'm a gap filler. So a single word is not going to land you anywhere. So you have to come up with the examples and you have to prove your point.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So I was, gonna jump into this question that you've already answered. That there are a lot of applicants. I would say like 100% of the applicants write in their ERAS applications in their personal statements that I'm a team player and this and that. So how exactly? I mean, you've already answered that. That how exactly does the program look out that this particular person is actually a team player and he's not just playing around with the words. So thank you so much for your insight on that as well. Coming on to the next question, as you've already touched upon this, there are some programs who have a specific step to score cutoffs. So you have been in talk with many program directors and associate program directors, right? And with the recent talk in the town about the step two scores being invalidated and a lot of IMGs being in a tough spot because of that. So what's your take on that? How do programs look at the step to school right now? What is the current situation? Do you have like any idea about that? What is your thought on
I
this?
think this is something very new.
Mm-hmm.
If you think your score invalidation was an error, you did not do anything, because you are the best person who know the right thing, that if you did cheat in the exam or if you did not. So if you think you did not, what I would recommend is you can challenge the decision. So you can email them, you can dispute the decision, and you can say it might be they can review their decision. So I think that's going to help. But if, let's suppose, you think you did cheat, then I think you deserve to be in this spot. But I think what if you learn from this, this is not something that's not gonna be it's gonna create barriers in your journey, like score invalidation, but it's not something that you are knocked out from the US
Okay.
residency system. So what I would say is, right now, this is very naive. I don't have a lot of words to say
Yeah.
about this specific, but if, let's suppose, you did not, you should reach out to them, to USMLE, that might be because of an error and you would like to dispute this decision. So might be, if you want to go to the attorney, might be you want to talk to them if you didn't do anything. So you should do that. You should fight for that. But if you did, I think, yeah, accept the decision. Might be, uh, s- to take like another attempt, and might become up as as a better candidate.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Abdin, for your answer. We have another question. So an applicant is asking, in order to be invited for an interview, does high step two CK score in any way neutralize the effect of attempts at step one in year of graduation of greater than 5 years? So how do programs see this, uptrending scores if a particular applicant has an attempt on a previous USMLE?
So attempt does not mean that you are knocked out of the system. If you are improving, might be you do have a red flag, and you can explain that why that happened and how did you improve after that, and how you improved and you went above average after that, might be getting above average score. I don't think so they would be worried about that, because your trajectory is going up, not down. But if, let's suppose, there wasn't a person who got like 260s in step one, when it was like because 3 years ago it was not pass fail, and in the second step two exam, might be he or she had an attempt, or that person took it again third time. Now that one again has a score is very very low, like 2.5, 2.10, 2.20. And now at that point, the program is going to consider his trajectory is going down. But if this is other way around, like that you had a attempt into USMLE step one, but you passed after that, and the step two score is greater than step one, and now you're also taking step three. So this means your trajectory is going up. So if your trajectory is going up, I don't think so that the programs are going to pay too much attention on the school. I do a few programs do have the specific very strict criteria that they do not take any attempt, but sometimes they also make their decision seeing the circumstances of the person. Okay, this person, like I have seen many programs who have a very strict criteria of not accepting people who fail, but still I have seen residents in those programs who had attempts in the past. So what that mean is like you have to refine your approach. Like your trajectory should go up, not down.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. So we have another question. A lot of applicants, ask these in this webinar in our DMs at the I'm Helping Hands platforms that how important or how do programs see an international residency before applying for the match? So what's your take on this? How useful is a previous, let's suppose, UK residency to the programs?
For a lot of residency programs in the USA, it's very important. If you're doing your residency or if you're done with your residency in your home country, it helps you a lot in getting more number of interviews or getting more it increases your chance of match in a specific program until or unless they have a very specific criteria of a strict graduation year cut off like 2 years 3 years. But I think the residency helps because they program directors also understand that everybody is a human being. Might be if you are done with your residency in your home country, might be you decided to come to the USA later on in your life, and there is nothing wrong with that. If you decided later on in your life, that doesn't mean that you are at fault. You are doing the right thing. You are doing your residence in your home country. But the only thing you lack is you made a decision very late in your life, and that doesn't count as a red flag. I think it's going to be helpful in you. Even a lot of people I have seen who have done with their residency in their home country, and they don't even have to repeat the residency in the USA. They are selected for the fellowship, and they directly do the fellowship here. So there are a couple of opportunities for the fellowship without even doing residency in the US if you're done with the home country residency.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So, I have seen on my clinical rotations as well. You might have seen yours in your clinical setting, like these days as well. So, applicants are asking that how useful is Spanish language in getting an interview?
It's very important. I know a lot of areas where people don't know how to speak English. And if you see the trajectory of the residency programs, you see that everyone who is there, they know how to speak Spanish. Because as a resident, you are in the training program, but you're also seeing patients. You're also treating patients under the supervision. So a lot of residency program do accept only those people who know how to speak Spanish. Because the reason is because you can take an interpreter, but using the interpreter is going to take more time when you see a patient. And still, there is a chance of error and a miscommunication between the two people. So if you know the language, I think that helps a lot. Spanish language helps a lot, especially in those areas where there are a lot of Hispanic people.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Abdi. So we have another question. Do programs have an initial filter to screen applicants, for example, based on whether they are ECFMG certified or not? Because we have seen this, talk in the town that the ECFMG certifications are taking a lot of time for this math season. So a lot of applicants are, applied without being ECFMG certified. So do programs actually have this filter of ECFMG certification, or are they, very lenient with this? You might get it before the rank order list.
Yes, that's it. It matters a lot. Now,
Okay.
I can give you an example. I had a friend who got his ECFMG certification in the month of February, but he was interviewed by two programs in October and November. What this means is they do a lot of residency programs do have the strict criteria that they do not invite people who are done with their who don't have their ECFMG certification, but a lot of programs are going to consider. Now, another fact is when you apply, if you're done with your USMLE step 1 to an OET, let's suppose. Now, this means is the program know that you have done your exam. It's just the document delay time that's gonna in the next 1 to 2 months you are gonna get a CPMD certification, right? Now, in that scenario, they would consider people and they do send the invite to the people. But if let's suppose you're not done with your USMLE step two, you applied with only USMLE step one. Now, in that scenario, they know that you are not done with your exams. So it's still very, very uncertain that when you're gonna get the ECFMG certification. If you're done with your exam, they know that okay, might be it's gonna delay, might be a month delay, but still you're gonna get get an ECFMG certificate as soon as possible. So they do consider, but a few programs also have the filters where they do use like ECFMG certification as a filter. But at the end, what I have seen is a residency program is also struggling to find residency candidates, great candidates. So they also have, kind of take a whole picture on the applications. Like let's suppose if this is something a nationwide problem, not because of you guys, because the administration of ECFMG is taking a lot of time. Now, if they filtered out the ECFM certification, if they don't have enough applications to review, then might be they are going to loosen their filters. So that's my take on it. But I don't think so. It's something to worry about. Or when you can send the letter of interest, you can explain in the letters or the personal statement. Okay, you're done with your exams. There's just an administration delay for the CFM certification. You will gonna get very very soon. So might be you can end up getting the interview from that program.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So that brings me to the next question. You're very right that like it is a struggle going on at both ends. The programs are looking for a great applicant, an applicant is looking for a great program. So that brings me to the part that a lot of people, a lot of programs, a lot of program directors use the word that the applicant is a great fit for the program or an applicant is not a great fit for the program. So like how do programs see applicants? There are people who are very high scorers, high achievers. They have 250s, 260s on their USMLE step 2 CK. They do receive an interview and yet they do not match. So how do programs evaluate an applicant? So is step 2 CK guarantee of everything? Does step 2 CK score, like how much the scores weigh? What are the programs looking for in an applicant?
So a funny incident is like one of my friend told that there is a program who don't send interview to any person who has scored more than 240. And the reason behind that is because when residency programs are recruiting residents, if they start interviewing only people who have scores like above 250s, 60s, or 70s, now this means is like those people, if let's suppose they don't choose to come in that specific program, might be they choose to go somewhere else. Now that program is gonna go in Seoul, where they are gonna have vacant spots. So they do have their approach where they know that we are not very, very competitive program. We are just a community program. Let's not be motivated enough to, get all of people who have scores above 250. Let's keep those people and let's send those people to the university programs where they can match easily. And let's get the people who have a little bit of less score or little bit of red flag, but let's loosen our criteria. So in the community programs and in the newer program who are struggling to find great residents, they do not worry too much about the scores. Like I've seen people with attempts, low scores, 220s, 250, like 230s, and like going into programs. But if you see that the residents in those programs, you can see you're gonna see that okay, a lot of people they have plus minus just almost the same score, and they even if they interview any person who is like a great candidate, above average candidate, or getting a or have like a score like around 270s, even if the interview might be that person is not going to choose that program, might be that person is going to match somewhere else. So the all effort to conduct an interview what for that specific person is going to go in vain. So residency programs also struggle sometimes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So that brings me to my next question. Let's suppose that there are two applicants or three applicants, let's suppose. One person has a step two score of 220s, and other has a step two score of 240s, and the third has a step two score of 260s, right? And each three of them get an interview from the program. So there have been a lot of confusion between the IMGs that once a person receives an interview, does that mean that I'm equal to all of the applicants that have received the interview from that program? And let's suppose all three are done with their interviews, and now the program is having a team meeting and they are deciding their rank order list. So, what points resurface when they are deciding who to rank? And is step two score one of them, or like all the decision is based upon how well the person or the applicant, performed in their particular interview?
So most of the time, the people who have the people who have scores between 230s to 50 to between 230 to 250, they're almost treated the same way. And it's the same for like about people who are have scores of above 250. It varies from program to program. A few program, are strictly worried about the high score of the people, and they do not take like people with low scores. But I think few programs are gonna uh, take people with a low score. But for example, if like in any program, they do have a scoring system when they rank the candidates. So USMLE score is one part of that scoring system. So what I mean is like, let's suppose if they have three scores, they have a three score credit for USMLE. If they say, okay, if the person has above 230, we're gonna give them score one. If it's above 240, score two. If it's above 50, it's score three. So now this is they're gonna add one, two, or three. So that this means is like low score doesn't keep you out of the loop. It's just like one extra score or two extra score you're getting in from that rank list or rank list criteria. So what I mean is, first of all, I think try to forgive yourself like for the mistakes you have made in the past and try to move on for if you have a low score, if you're red flag. But in order don't worry too much about the rank list. So just try to give yourself or try to behave one of the best interview. Try to prepare, try to focus on the preparation of the interview rather than uh, worrying about the rank order list from now.
Perfect. Yes, that is the advice that most of the match applicants need right now. That you have to forgive yourself for any red flags, any blunders, any mistakes that you've made across your journey. So I have another question from an applicant that an IMG. I'm an IMG and I applied for the match this year. I graduated a year ago and took a year focused to gain US clinical experience, and I set to take the USMLE. So is that considered a gap year?
So that person did not do anything in that specific 1 year.
Oh, they said that they did gain US clinical experience and they gave the USMLE.
So now this is not a gap year. I think you were
Yeah.
still clinically active. You are getting an experience. You're getting letter of recommendation. You are preparing for the match process. So I don't think so. This is gap year. This is not treated as a gap year.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So there is another, talk in the town. There's a lot of air about this that, ERAS always releases the data that this particular number is the minimum number of, research that includes publications and posters combined for any specialty. So let's suppose 6 for IM, 10 for derma, or just a number, right? So what do programs look for? Let's in the publications. So are they looking for like the number of publications, the quality of the paper, the position of the authorship, or what that brings you as a physician, how you have used that research? So what are the programs looking for? Why has research gained so much importance in the past few years?
So I think there are multiple answers for this single question. What
Mhm.
I mean is, if you have like a lot of research papers, but when the program is asking about explaining any specific research paper and you're not able to do so, this means that it's a red flag that this was not a genuine paper. You just put your name, might be where you were gifted authorship or the ghost authorship. Because if you did work in that specific article, this means you know a lot of about that about that article. And the same goes if you have just one or two publications, but when asked, you are explaining it like you had genuinely had one of the best experience, I think that can be more valuable. Now to be talking about the authorship, yes, it matters that what is your authorship, but there are always ways to answer questions in the interview. For example, I think when I applied, I have a couple of publications, but all of I was never in as the first author in those publications. And even our residency program associate program director asked me that we have seen a couple of publications, but you're not a first author or you're not a lead investigator. Why is this case? Like why did you think it up? But then I explained that my goal is not to get a higher number of authorship. I'm creating an evidence which is going to be beneficial for the future generations. Like we have did work, my research work. I was a research mentor, and I used to get lost authorship. But that doesn't mean that like I don't know anything about that research paper. But that is something I'm the leader in that paper. But for me as a leader in that paper, authorship higher number doesn't matter for me. But because for me, what matters is the evidence which we are creating for the next generation that's going to be helpful in making decisions. So that's what matters for me, knowledge. So I think they really like this answer. There are always ways to answer the questions. But yeah, on paper, if they say your first authorship, a couple of like let's suppose 10 first authorship ships of you, they're gonna really like you. But when they are gonna ask question from you, you also be prepared to be to impress them with your answers, not just by the piece of paper.
Yeah, like I'm not a program director, I'm nowhere near that, but it sounds really good to me as well. So perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdi. Now I have another question that I would like to ask for your perspective regarding the application timing. If an applicant submits his or her application on 26th or 28th of September, while the application deadline was September 24th, and that is when most of the programs and program directors start reviewing the applications. Do you think that this, 2 to 3 days lapse in applying significantly impacts the, likelihood or of receiving an interview or no?
I think there is a very this is one of the most misconception IMGs have.
Yeah.
Everybody says the same. They say that the deadline was 24. 24 was not the deadline. 24 was the start date that when you can start applying. You can apply throughout the season. 24 was not the deadline, 24 was the start date. Now, what happens is like a couple of residency program, they download their applications on 24. Now, what that means is if you apply after 2 or 3 days, your application will be missed out in your first cycle of interviews. Now, in the residency season, they divide this interviews into three parts. The first part is between first month of October and a few days of November, and the second wave is the last 2 weeks of November and December, and the last wave, the third, which is the last wave, which is mostly between in January. So what this means is might be you're gonna miss the first wave of the interview, but that doesn't mean that that was the deadline. Like, you can still get interview, and also there are ways to handle the situation. Might be when you send a great letter of interest, you can write in that you apply this, and if you just you're just trying to make sure that you have received your application. So that's what you can do. You can ask that I want to show my interest, and also want to just say if you have received my documents, my application from my side.
Perfect. Okay, so we have received this question multiple times, in the poll that we created and now in the webinar chat as well. So people are asking that a program reviews, at least hundreds of applications, if not thousands per program, right? And they do receive a lot of personal statements and like even if we take 3 LORs per applicant, so there are a lot of LORs as well. So what exactly are the program directors looking for in what are the keywords, the sentences that the program directors are looking for in the personal statement or the letter of recommendation that truly stands out or that are not cliche or they usually guarantee that an applicant receives an interview?
So what they look is they look the honesty, and they look the genuine stuff which is written in your documents. Because if any of your genuine experience is genuine, you are more tend to explain in such a manner that they're going to say that this is the genuine experience and this person learned a lot from that experience. But if you did not learn a lot from that experience, you were able to explain on the paper that it was one of the best experience, but when they're going to ask questions from you, you will not be able to answer a lot of questions, a lot of answers from there. So that was the reason we last year we introduced our residency interview manual, where we did compile like more than 200 residency interview questions, and then we did write the templates. By the template, what I mean is, if anyone is availing that, we do not recommend to learn those answers and say the same thing to the residency program. By the way we have created the answers, we just want to give you the insight. There are more than couple of ways when like how you can answer a question. Like for example, if you have a red flag, rather than being shy, you can be confident in the interview about your red flag. You can explain, okay, if asked, you can explain, okay, I do have a red flag. I do have the insight about my past, but I'm the person who is improving every day. And if you see my trajectory, you're going to see a lot of improvement after my previous red flag. If you're confident about it, if you're explaining well, I think that's the program need from you. Where you're going to see like a lot of so people who are done with their residency, they fail the board exam, and after a few associate PDs, when they're taking the board, reading the board, and after every 10 years, might be sometime they fail the exam. So failure is not a very is a very very big deal. It's mostly created in your own head, and that's also one of the reasons people are not able to work on their skills, because they have too much fear to start again. That's what I would say. So that's also one of the reasons we introduced our the residency manual. If you can send the link to people. So if you guys want to check out your
Yes, definitely.
and see how you can
Because
template use the templates.
yes, definitely. I'm gonna send the link of the research, group as well, because I've seen a lot of queries regarding that as well in the interview manual as well as the interview preparation program by IMG Helping Hands. So moving on to the next question, I, I have seen this in the websites of the programs when we were, helping out the applicants apply for the match, and now there are a lot of questions regarding this as well. What I saw was that what the year of graduation cutoff a couple of years ago was like 5 years, but most of the programs have now shifted to 3 years. So I don't know if the programs are becoming more strict with this particular cutoff. And like, what are your opinion? What are your tips? What do you think is the best suggestion for an IMG who has an old year of graduation, like more than 5 years, 7 years, maybe eight, maybe 10? So what are your useful insights in that?
So what I would say is, if a residency program is very particular about the certain year of graduation, I would say don't apply in that program until or unless you have a network over there who can vouch for you that, okay, you are a great candidate, but the only red flag is that you don't have the year of grad which is very very early. But if you want to apply, what you can do is, when you start searching the programs, or what you already guys did, you guys already did, you guys can see the residents over there, like what's their graduation year. If you see in any program that, okay, there are two or three residents who are like very very old grad, and the program also very strict about the residency year, oh sorry, year of graduation, I think you can apply there. But if you don't see any outliers in that specific residency program, I wouldn't waste the money in applying there until or unless you have a contact over there or network who can vouch for you to get the interview.
Perfect. And that brings me to my next question. So there is a lot of, hype about this networking in the US, right? So what's your take on this? What does networking actually mean? And how important is a network when you're applying for the match? Like, most of the people in the US do believe in the word of mouth. So what's your take on this? If a person has a particular red flag for a program, might be they do not fall in that particular cutoff. And if another program, another hospitalist, another program director, anyone vouches for them. So how do programs see that, and how valuable is that?
I would say that it's a two-edged sword. What I mean is, like, I have seen a person who went to the AAFP conference last year. He did communicate with a lot of residency programs over there. Yeah, because every year there are more than 600 residency programs and program directors over who come to that conference. And it's a great opportunity to show up. But now what that person did is he tried to impress the faculty residency program in 10 to 15 minutes. It started wasting time, and the programs, a lot of other programs started thinking about, okay, the person is very, very pushy. And later on, he didn't receive any invite from those programs he network over there. So, but you were also gonna see another person who did go there, who was, you know, who did not cross the line, who did not become pushy, who was, just trying, who tried to introduce him or herself, and they got like extra number of interviews. So it's like something. If you go to network, this means is do not become pushy or do not cross the boundary. That's gonna help you. Otherwise, you're gonna be knocked out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your answer. So we have already, touched upon the letter of interest, but again, I have received a lot of, questions that some of the applicants joined late. So can you touch upon that as well? And another question is that should we send them to all the programs applied or only to the programs that we signaled?
No, I think you should send to all of the program because you applied. If let's suppose you applied for 100 programs, and you can send to the 100 programs. And if let's suppose you do not have enough time to write a specific and do like a very very specific letter of interest to any all of those programs, I would say at least try to see the 15 to 20 programs where you think you can match or where you really want to go. So you for those programs you can be very very specific. Otherwise, I think for the rest of the programs you can send that. I'm not very much fan of sending the letter of interest which are very very generic. They don't add a lot of value. But I think yes, let's do it. You
Yes,
guys can
definitely.
still do
I
it.
mean, yeah, the word generic truly haunts me as an IMG. Like any part of the application that sounds generic is like a waste, I would say. So the next question comes down to there. We have seen this trend, we have seen this data that the interview invites generally uptrend when you signal a program. So what's your take on this? How is program signaling impacting the number of interview invites that you receive? And like, what is the difference if I signal, let's suppose a program gold and another program silver? So how do programs see gold and silver? How do they differentiate? So what's your take on this?
Yeah, I was sorry. I was a little distracted. So yeah, can you come again?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. So my question is that we have seen this, data, this uptrending thing that if that the number of interview invites usually go uptrend when an applicant signals a program, right? So
Mhm.
there are gold signals and there are silver signals. So if I signal a program gold in another program I signal it's silver. So how do programs perceive it? Like how do they perceive gold versus silver, and how do they perceive applicants who do not signal them? So what's your take on this whole program signaling?
Like every human being is a different, like every residency program is different. So there is no
Mhm.
general one answer. What I can give is a common answer, which is what when you apply to and you signal like a you signal gold to one of the program, right? Now that program is gonna think, okay, this means this person is definitely interested in us more than he's interested in other programs. So you are gonna increase your chance over there. Now you're gonna see it's the same program. For that program, it doesn't matter you signal or it doesn't matter you do not signal. So you're gonna see the the various different types of common and uncommon perspectives from the residency program. So there's no single answer for this. But yeah, I think a few programs you're gonna find who are gonna feel it valuable that okay, this person did utilize his goal signal for us, so let's consider his application, and a few would not worry about it.
Okay, perfect. So I have another question that let's suppose
Yeah.
uh, you went unmatched in a particular season. Would applying second time in the match carry the previous unmatched attempt as a red flag?
Well, I would say the red flag can come up with some certain circumstances by knowing what was the reason you did not match. But if there was a reason, something that you had some sort of medical issue, some sort of family issue, some sort of any issue that is not considered a red flag, then I don't think so. They would consider it as a red flag. Or might be, sometimes you received the ECFME certification late, you were not able to get rank in the rank list. But if let's suppose you did not match, you did receive the interviews but did not match because of red flags in your communication and your application, that would be considered a red flag. But I think they ask you that, okay, why do you think you did not match? And if you are trying to blame others, you are trying to blame the system, trying to blame the people or the circumstances, they know that, okay, this is not a right person. It's the same thing I know in the New York programs. When it was the in-person interviews, they used to ask, okay, how was the traffic? And the people who used to say that, okay, oh, it was worse, it was the first day of my life, they know that, okay, this is not the right person who is bothersome with the New York traffic, is not a right person to bring in New York in our residency program. So they also want to see that how do you see the problems? Are you just seeing the problems, or are you the person who are seeing opportunities in the problem?
Yes, definitely. So this is a very, good example to quote right here. So I have another question. Uh, do programs have an initial filter to screen out the applicants if the letter of recommendation authors are any or of any specialty other than IM? For instance, if I'm applying for IM in the particular match.
No, no, that's not valid. Yeah, like some programs do have the filter that, okay, if you don't have any for that specific specialty, they can be filtered out. But what happens is, like, at the Caribbean graduates and the AMGs, when they apply, if they're applying for, let's suppose, IM or FM, not all of the LORs will be IM and FM. So might be you're going to see a neurosurgery letter of recommendation, even if they're applying for FM. But a great LOR is that, okay, that LOR writer knows the interest of the person, and then he mentioned, even if he's a neurosurgeon, he has mentioned that, okay, this person doesn't have the neurosurgeon interest, but I can see this person as one of the best family physicians. So I'm watching for this person. So this also gave the broader view that, okay, how other people are feeling about this person. So I don't think that's in family medicine. One letter of recommendation is required, but it's not always necessary to have the same LORs from same specialty people when you apply for a specific specialty. You can get LOR from other, but try to ask your LOR writers that, okay, if they can mention your interest if you're applying for a specific residency program.
Perfect. And that brings me to my next question, of course, that I have been, talking to a lot of applicants, a lot of IMGs, and what concerns them the most is that the letter of recommendation author should be, a hospital-based big name. The letterhead should be of hospital letterhead or university letterhead. So what's your take on this? How do programs see letter of recommendations? Does the LOI author count that much, or the content of the LOI is what they see? So what's your take on this?
So it depends on uh, if you're done with any experience that was in the clinic, and if the letter of recommendation is on the hospital, the program director is first going to think, okay, if he did not uh, go in the hospital, this was a solely outpatient, and that if that outpatient was not associated with the hospital, now that could be a red flag. But let's suppose if that hospital was associated with the outpatient clinic and he got the letter of recommendation, it's just like, an eye grabbing thing. They're going to see that hospital letterhead, but they're going to read what's written in the LOR and what type of experience was that. If there is a discrepancy, then this means they're gonna just see, like, as a publicity stunt, that, okay, this person used the hospital letterhead, his LOR writer used it just as a publicity stunt, but that person did not go in the hospital. And a lot of ethical concerns also raised that, okay, if this did not go, might be that person was Why did the person use that hospital letterhead if that person did not shadow in that hospital, specific hospital? So, but most of the time, what they see is like what's written in the LOR. If a LOR is like very specific, quoted with examples that are genuine, I think that could even a clinic LOR can be better than a university LOR if the LOR is generic, of you're getting from the university. So it all depends on what's written in it. I think that the letterhead doesn't matter a lot. It's just like a eye grabbing thing.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for clearing the air because I've seen a lot of applicants, with this major concern. Another question for you is that how much value do resident recommendations have when, interview invites are sent out or when the programs are, generating the rank order lists?
It depends on the resident.
Oh, okay.
What that means is like if a resident has a lot of credibility in the program and a lot of people are uh, fond of what he's going to see or he has to say, that could have more value than anyone. But if let's suppose there was a resident who is not in a who is not the apple of a person, who's not a great resident in the program, and if that person is gonna vouch for you, might be they're gonna say, okay, if he's vouching, let's not invite that person because we don't want people like him or her. So it depends like who is the resident.
Perfect. Yes, definitely. Like in the word of mouth game, the mouth that the particular word is going to go out is definitely as important. So I have another question. Have there been any case in the past in which IMG is matched into less competitive specialty and later transitioned into a more competitive specialty?
Yeah, a lot of this happens. A lot of people who are not able to get competitive specialties in the first year might be they're getting like less competitive. They do start their residency, and the next year they apply again, and they do get into competitive residency programs.
Okay, perfect. So
All right, I think I do have a hard stop here,
yeah,
Dr. Kiani, and I think let's take the question in our next session, like rest of the questions. So I do appreciate everybody, and I do have. Uh, I just want to say like best of luck, everyone. I know this journey is not easy, but you didn't choose the easy path. So just be prepared, and this is like a marathon, but sooner or later it's gonna be in your favor.
yes, definitely. So we were just, at the end of the questions as well. So that is like the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck. I'm just dropping in the links of the interview preparation manual and the interview preparation program, so you can definitely reach out to our coordinators if you're interested to join that as well. And good luck for your future. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the night.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Abdi.